Okay, we are live now. Let me set something. Oh, set 那个照片 thumbnail.
Alexander, it looks cold where you are. Yeah. Like super cold.
Yeah, I just have. It's actually not that cold.
Oh, you guys are not in the same place?
Outside.
Oh.
Oh, you guys are not in the same place?
No, thank God.
We're 40 degrees separated in Celsius.
Yeah.
In Celsius.
Yes.
That's crazy, man. Okay, wait. 我看一下文吧。没有。
I want to go and check out KL. I've only ever like passed through before.
Is it 那个讲那个 live 播不到？我放了啊。在 live 这边。我先让慢了。有。我先share。OK。有。Okay. Okay, guys. Okay, are you guys ready? Okay, only now got around 100 people are watching right now, so we wait like 1, 2, or 3 minutes to let people come in. So, have you guys eaten your dinner? Are you guys how's it going? Everything good? If it's a good day, you type a good. Okay, you type a good, you have a response for me. Okay. Okay, these two, some people ask who is this two fella here. Okay, so as you can see, the first one, Toby Gilbert, is the CEO of Coinweb, okay, which we have did a short introduction video for Coinweb for like 3 days before. And here is the lead architectures from Coinweb as well. Okay, so let them see you're welcome. Okay, let's hype up the comment area right now. Okay, type anything good, positive right here. Okay, so today is, as you can see the topic here, we will have the AMA sessions, which is ask me anything for the CEO and the lead architecture from the Coinweb. So later we will ask a couple of questions to them so that we can understand more about Coinweb, these projects, because as you guys know, Coinweb is just being launched like last 2 weeks or last week on vLaunchpad. Okay, I hope you guys have bought some vLaunchpad and earned some money there. And also this will be a huge project coming on. Okay, this Coinweb is a huge concept. Okay, it's a very visionary project, but I will let the CEO and the lead architecture here to introduce more of it. Okay, so how is it going, Toby and Alexander?
Yeah, good, thanks. Thank you very much for having me today.
Yeah, thanks for, I know you guys are very busy right now, so thank you for having here. So, so we just cut straight. So since you are doing the projects called Coinweb, I think the name is called very nice as a name, Coinweb. Okay, so what is it about? What Coinweb does actually?
Okay, I'll give it to you at a high level. It was explained to me many years ago by Alexander and my business partner, who's the CTO, that blockchains all sat in their own silos so that they were entirely disconnected from one another. And he used an analogy of thinking about email in the early days, where you could only send an email within the same email client. So for example, for namesake, if you had a Hotmail account, you could only send a Hotmail from one Hotmail account to another. which moving forward into today seemed absolutely ridiculous, even 4.5 years ago to me. And he said, that's exactly where we find ourselves today with blockchain. So with that in mind, we are building a platform, a layer 2 cross-computation platform that sits above third-party blockchains and allows you to build on top of us and take advantage of the functionality of all of the underlying blockchains that we sit on top of. So that's the 20,000 foot view down. That's about as high level as I can put it to you in very simplistic terms. Alexander, do you want to give something a bit more in depth on a technical level?
Yeah, I can. I can talk a little bit to that. So there's and the idea is at the sort of developer level over time, or somebody that wants to develop an app and support it over many years. There's a lot of risk in choosing your layer 1. For example, you choose Ethereum, and Ethereum has a very well organized team. They are excellent engineering ship in various forms and working really hard to scale, but still the fees are very high, and there are certain design choices that you make when you make a layer 1 that you have to stick with, or basically you have to make a different chain. So there are different trade-offs at layer 1, and based on what happens. And another thing you can look at is the inflation rate that was set at Bitcoin in the beginning, at around 20% per year. And then the value of Bitcoin increased a lot more than that, which means that now the electricity usage of Bitcoin is much higher than what was anticipated in the beginning. Or we don't know what was anticipated, but there are certain parameters that are set that are really difficult to change. But that affects those that are on top of it. So if there was a way that you could move from chain to chain, that would be a good thing. And so we looked at this problem, and I think we have a pretty good novel solution to it, which is a layer 2 interoperability combined with a scalability system.
Is it going to is being the TPS is going higher comparing Ethereum network? Is it so? If serve the function like this?
So Coinweb can be seen as a combination of interoperability and scalability, and the scalability part resembles quite a lot rollups on the Ethereum platform or other platforms. And rollups are basically ways of lifting computations out from the layer 1, so that you can do a lot more computations, but you're still limited to the data throughput of layer 1. So the amount of megabytes you can run through layer 1 is still limited by layer 1. But then on the other hand, you can do much more complex things that you can't do on layer 1. For example, let's say you want to do a complex zero knowledge proof validation, or something that requires lots and lots of instructions. That would be very costly to do on layer 1, but it can be cheap to do on layer 2. And the reason why it's cheap to do on layer 2 is that layer 2 is fully deterministic. So it doesn't, and when you have something that's deterministic, you can choose to use other proof mechanisms. And those proof mechanisms, instead of being possible to attack with a 51% attack or a 2/3 attack, you only need one honest node in a network. And that means that the network can be much smaller with the same security than what you can do when you do it at layer 1.
Oh, I understand. But okay, as I know, we have so-called trilemma problem, am I right, in blockchains. So in terms, you can just pick two, like scalability and security, but you need to sacrifice for the decentralization parts. But just now you has mentioned about that on Coinweb, it's gonna do as layer 2 projects and trying to like pack it in a bigger bytes, which is a bigger space, so that it can process more transactions. Am I right? In this,
so you can
way?
process.
But this is really, like not security. There's the downgrade of security comparing to the main Ethereum network.
Yeah, so it is. So Coinweb is borrowing the security and decentralization from layer 1, and the security argument for Coinweb is very similar to the ones for optimistic rollups and also for zero knowledge rollups. But the difference is that we are also cross-chain, and another difference is that we don't necessarily write the results. Most of the rollup project, and that's why we don't call ourselves a rollup. Rollup systems, they are made to accelerate computation and scalability, but the results of what they're doing is going back into layer 1. That is sort of the purpose of the name rollup. It rolls up computations and then it sort of puts them back into layer 1. So we think more that layer 2, the computations and the state will basically live on layer 2, and layer 1 we can put them down to layer 1, but it's not the main purpose. And the reason why that becomes that sort of falls out naturally from combining the scalability with the interoperability, because a lot of data is coming then from other chains, and they don't naturally live on a specific chain. So it's more natural to just keep that on layer 2. But the security, the sort of solution to the trilemma is similar to what you get in rollups. It's not that it sort of solves all of it, but it solves the scalability part. So so you can basically scale computation indefinitely, or very, very, very high. You're not limited much when it comes to computation, but you're still limited when it comes to throughput of the network on data. So every computation needs input to work, and some computations are very data intensive and some are very CPU intensive. So one thing that really shines in this type of scalability space is if you have very highly CPU intensive stuff. And some of the things that you can do then is for example, implementing zero knowledge natively as a contract. You can do very complex, for example, risk assessments. If you have a large portfolio of assets and you want to automatically, as an automatic market maker, you want to do correlation analysis and stuff like that, requires a lot of matrix multiplications and stuff like that you just can't do without a lot of compute power.
Okay.
So yeah.
But in the current scene right now, maybe people will compare like Coinweb, like, because in the current scene there's like projects like Polkadot. Okay, because when we look in the Coinweb, the web page, it says that cross-chain. So whenever we see this term cross-chain, automatically will relate to other projects like Polkadot. So how is it different concepts, or you guys are a bit similar, but what is your advantages for being different from them or being more?
So Polkadot is using they call para chains.
Yes.
And they're tied up to this relay chain that is sort of the main chain, and then these para chains are sort of children, or they are sort of dependent on this mother chain. Sometimes, for example, if you read Vitalik, he will refer to that as multi-chain, and we also call that multi-chain. And we try to separate between a multi-chain and cross-chain. And the difference is that so Polkadot is then multi-chain, comes under multi-chain, and the multi-chain paradigm is that you have some sort of consensus that is sort of the top consensus, and then you have other chains that inherit, and they're sort of slotted into that global consensus. And cross-chain is where you take completely independent, what you call self-sovereign. You sometimes talk about sovereign consensus.
Is this something like Oracle? Is it something like you can use the concept of Oracle, which is just
but Oracle is more general. So Oracle can take any information externally to a chain and bring it into the chain. And oracles usually do that by having an extra layer of consensus and some staking to try to sort of mitigate any issues. What both are cross-chain. Most others don't do it like what we do, but both are cross-chain and multi-chain. What they do is they don't introduce extra consensus layers. But the difference between cross-chain and multi-chain is that multi-chain is permissioned, so that you have to engineer your chain to be part of a multi-chain solution. Okay. What that means is that the consensus protocol that decides whether a block is okay or not and what is the latest block needs to not only think about the chain itself, but it also needs to take into consideration some sort of parent consensus. So and that is not possible to retrofit. You can't retrofit that into an existing chain. So for example, let's say you wanted to join Solana and Ethereum. That wouldn't work because they would both need to adhere to some common consensus that is above both of them, and they won't do that. The same with Bitcoin. You can't get Bitcoin to listen to be part of some other consensus. But Polkadot, on the other hand, will direct all other chains to say that, okay, if you're part of Polkadot, you're going to be adhering to our relay chain consensus. So you're part of a rule. You're sort of inside that country. So you're not self-sovereign like Ethereum and Bitcoin and Solana or Elrond.
Okay. So let me ask Toby. Toby, I have questions for you. Is that okay? It seems like Coinweb is trying to do something towards the concept called Web 3.0. I guess if I'm wrong, correct me. But I think you guys are doing something that trying to practice the concept of Web 3.0. So, what is your visions or what's your thoughts on Web 3? Do you believe in it, or this is all just like a gimmick in the market right now? So how are you gonna respond on this? It's a huge topic right now, a huge debate right now.
I'm gonna choose my words carefully. We see a lot of new concepts that are being introduced rather regularly into the market. Web3, before NFTs, keep going. It's been here for the past couple of years. There's a new buzzword that comes up the whole time. I think that at the heart of a lot of these concepts there is a lot of what do I put it like?
Chill.
It's coming from the right place, but it's being hyped. Let's say. I think it is. Yeah, I do have to choose my words very carefully. Okay. What is going to be here today, and what is going to be here in the next 6 to 12 months, is not necessarily what is going to be there in years 2, 3, 4, and 5. And yet, the concept of these new concepts may steer us to where we're going to be in the next few years, which is exactly what our platform is being built for, is more for the medium to long term, to bring about solutions that, as I said, are being led by these sorts of concepts that you're referring to today, but taking the larger picture of where we're headed in the next 3 to 5 years is really here to support mass adoption, is when we're not quite literally a 1.5 $150 billion market cap or whatever it may be.
Okay.
Actually a significant share of the financial market with hundreds of millions of people using it. That is what we're building for, and what we really want to keep our eye on the prize for being part of that plumbing for blockchain, as I said, for the medium to long term. And then that's really where we're all focused. Instead of hopping from one hot topic, one buzzword to the next.
Yeah. Okay.
Alexander, would you agree with me?
Yeah, I think we are layer 2, and what we see is of this Web3 area. I think there is sort of technology goes through these phases where it starts out vertically integrated. So if you bought the first car, it would be built from the engine, and everything would be hand built by maybe 5 people. And then when it gets professionalized, all the different layers, and you have specialists on the engine, you have specialists on everything. So what we're seeing is that layer 1 and layer 2 are starting to get sort of separated, and the future that we are looking towards is the future where layer 1 can evolve independently of layer 2, basically, so that we have like a protocol stack on the internet where you have a transport layer or network layer that can change. You can switch from fiber to 5G and whatever, and then TCP/IP or QUIC or HTTP works fine on depending on independent of the underlying technology. And I think that is actually the sort of schism we are at now, and there's a great sort of different viewpoints on that. And we believe in that cross-chain is feasible, and it is possible to combine cross-chain with scalability. There is this other view where that says that cross-chain is difficult or unfeasible, that it's not possible to do, and that multi-chain is the future. So basically what you will have is that you will have one strong chain, whether it's Polkadot, Ethereum, Solana, or something like that. Then you have everything spread out from that. In that future, you will see a few, in that sort of future, the barrier to entry on layer 1 will be very, very high, very difficult to create new layer 1s. There will be a few big ones, and then all the capital will be drawn to that. And we've seen that a little bit, that a lot of capital is being drawn into the Ethereum ecosystem. But there's also this other history, typically, of how technology evolves, where you start up, as I said, with this vertical integration, and then you see the layering coming, and then suddenly you see an explosion of innovation by separating the different layers.
Okay.
So we are. I think this is very interesting to sort of see where that goes, and we are. So as I said, we are on the cross chain. So what we are betting on is a future where there will be highly competitive layer 1 landscape, and not just a few of them.
Okay. Oh, it's very good. It's very deep. Thank you. Okay, so the next question I will ask about is, what is the business model of Coinweb, or how the economy run within Coinweb? Is it targeting about the developers or the consumer end for Coinweb? So what are you guys targeting about?
Okay, so we really took a view, like in 2018, when we were doing three things in parallel. We were going around the world talking at events. We were raising funds and also building the core at the same time. We were moving towards looking at doing an ICO when we entered the crypto winter per se. And we made a decision, all of us together, a very difficult decision, which was to self-fund, but also in parallel to building the core, to build 2 DeFi projects on top of the platform. And the reason for this was that we felt we all come from a traditional telecoms or technology background. And where we used to pull valuations from was on revenue streams and users and fundamentals, boring fundamentals like that, opposed to just a promise of a white paper and what are we going to try and build and what are we going to promise to do. So that's what we did, and we built 2 DeFi platforms that utilize the Coinweb platform to issue a cross-chain stable token, utilize Coinweb's Explorer, the ability to broadcast transactions down to multiple underlying chains, to be able to move those transactions between chains when a chain becomes too slow or too expensive, which we've had to do a couple of times, I may add. And we launched those 2 DeFi platforms on top of Coinweb in beta in July of 2020, and then in live production of December of 2020. And between December 2020 and today, these 2 DeFi platforms have sold in excess of $90 million worth of stable tokens. They have 130,000 users. They currently write or use the Coinweb platform to write 4,000 to 6,000 transactions a day to the underlying chains. So that these projects are in permission, they're built on top of the platform in permission states. And now we have signed deals, I think no less than 6 signed, with a number of others in the pipeline, traditional household, big company, global brands that we're going to be making announcements about shortly, where we're helping them and give them access to blockchain technology via the Coinweb platform. And in turn, their customer base becomes our customer base as well. So that's going to be a major focus of ours over the next 12 months, is signing up no less than 1 million users for our platform. And I'll be very disappointed if we've only hit that by this coming Christmas. Then in addition to this, we have our cross-chain tokenization platform that will be opening up, as well as releasing our e-wallet with fully integrated fiat rails, which we're looking to launch in April. So there'll be a retail product for our community that they can touch, feel, play around with the cross-chain tokenization from within the wallet. And then I would say I'm pushing hard for the end of this year to be on mainnet proper. Only when Alexander is comfortable, when all of his security fears have been mitigated to the furthest extent possible. And then when we're on mainnet, our token will then migrate to be our native Coinweb token from an ERC20. And then we'll open up the public APIs for developers to come and to build on top of us. I envisage that happening in a year's time, with a little bit of luck, but by which time we should have well in excess of 1 million users using our platform in a permission state. And as I said, household names, literally global household names. We're just about to announce them. So that's our adoption and go-to-market strategy.
Okay, cool, clear. Okay, just now you mentioned about the 2 DeFi platforms. May I ask about what's the name of the platform?
Sure. One of them is called Blockfort and the other one's called OnRamp.
Okay, OnRamp. OnRamp.
Yeah, both in the Apple App Store, Google Play Stores. You can download and have a play around.
Okay, so thank you. So we move on a bit. Is the time is running out, right? Okay, so we move on to the we were talking about the team, investors, and the roadmap for Coinweb. So because I have studied a bit of Coinweb, it says that it started since 2017 right now, right? Just now it says that you survived through the bear market because 2018 is a bear market in winter. So this is also why I'm so interested in this project, because there's a lot of projects that come rise and down within the bull markets. But no, there's a very few that we've gone through to the bear markets. But you guys are the one of it. So, just during that time, I see the article says that you guys are self-funded. Is it true? Well, in the beginning.
Well, no, we did a small seed round in the beginning for, I think it was $1.4 million, and then we were self-funded in between the middle of 2018 until the beginning of this year. Yeah.
Okay.
Last year, sorry.
So any VCs or funds coming in afterwards?
Yeah, we've been backed by KuCoin Labs.
Oh, okay, that's
Panda Capital, Morningstar Capital,
G Capital, yes.
G Capital, Magnus Capital, Shima Capital, MM Ventures. We have 82 of the top influencers in the world that are investors in us. VLaunch are investors in us.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got a pretty long list. Private investors. Yeah.
There's not the big names is enough already. Okay, so
yeah, we're already there. But it wasn't really for the money. These guys coming in was very important for us for cross-pollination of us now reaching out, looking at the portfolio of their investments, seeing which ones could build on top of us in a permission state. So that's a lot of the work that's going on at the moment, is identifying these guys' portfolios, getting introductions, having calls. You know, it's a huge ecosystem that we have access to, almost to the point where Alexander had a very firm word with me today saying, Toby, we only have X amount of developers. Every time I bring a new one on, it takes a load of our time to train them. So it must be an organic growth. Stop signing every deal in the world. So that's the push and pull that we have between business and between tech at the moment, that we're just lucky enough to have access to this incredible ecosystem for adoption. But we have to do it in a way that our tech build out can manage it.
Okay, cool. What about tokenomics? Because we have seen that in the web page state about around 38% for company reserve. So what is it this 38% going to do? And yeah, you can explain a bit of the tokenomics here.
Yeah, sure. It's a question that we get a lot around quite a large company reserve. I think very importantly that we reserve the right to burn, but also we have a true utility use for our tokens. So to use any of the functionality of the platform, you must use the CWeb token effectively as gas. What's important to say here is if we have 1 million users and you have an average spend of $100 per month for each user to operate the functionality of the Coinweb platform, the natural demand to purchase the token is quite significant. So you must think about, we must match up our supply to our demand. We must be able to manage that supply to that demand and take into account millions and millions of users after, moving past year one. But at the same time, we would like to support where possible and in the right way the token price. So we reserve the right to burn. But at the same time, we will have, I would imagine, no less than 200 developers. We aim by the end of this year. An average salary for a developer is 15,000 euros a month.
Oh, okay.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
So when you start burning $3 million a month just on developer resource, these are what our realities end up looking like. And that's before licensing, compliance, operations. When you start, we're already a team of in excess of 100 people. When we get to a team of 500 people, it becomes very intensive. So OPEX is definitely our main spend from company reserve, managing supply and demand. And then past that, the equation will be burning to support the price of the token in the future.
Okay, cool, understands. So for the roadmap, just now you have already mentioned that the next 12 months will be about adoptions. Okay, so I think, any things you want to add on, Alexander or Toby? Or we just...
Not that we're allowed to mention. You'll just have to watch the press releases as they drop.
Okay, so the next one is what I find interesting is about the competitors. Okay, so actually I found a chart from your website. It's called the comparison chart. Let me share this. So can you guys share more about the chart here?
Yeah, before I'll ask Alexander to jump in, but I think before he does, I think that this chart that you found on the website is more, I think it's mislabeled actually. I'm going to shout at Anton in a minute. I think it should be labeled a positioning chart.
Okay.
It's positioning us, I would say, in the wider market. It's not a direct competitor chart. For example, that you'll see what you're going to share, Bitcoin is on there, which we wouldn't class as a direct competitor compared to Polkadot, Cosmos, Chainlink, so on and so forth. Alexander, do you want to, who keeps you up at night as our top three?
No, I mean, I think that the big thing on my mind is basically this difference between multi-chain and cross-chain. I think that is super interesting.
You there?
Oh, he got stuck.
It's okay. We can talk when he is trying to come back.
Yeah, no problem. So
okay, so points up. Let point up some highlight here. Maybe that something that we can notice and look into here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
have to keep an eye on him for coming back in.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the main difference between Polkadot and us, firstly, their approach to consensus is different to us. The way in which they're handling this is very much, as Alexander points out, by their glue being a parachain that sits in between them and the underlying chains, whereas we handle this entirely differently. So our consensus is not based on having any blockchain that sits in between us and the underlying chains. So we're effectively bringing ourselves closer to the underlying chains, which has some very good potential when it comes to attack vectors. We're mitigating a lot of the security concerns, which fits in very well with what our approach is compared to Polkadot, once again, of having their ecosystem being very much focused on crypto projects. We have a very strong focus on both traditional business with mass customer bases as well as crypto projects. And where our consensus mechanism comes into play is that we have extra sensitivities around security. Because if we, for example, started becoming handling a lot of the transactional data for British Airways or Thai Airways, and you're handling, for example, people's personal data, credit cards, passport information, and if one is passing all this very valuable data between your layer 2 and the layer 1, the natural attack vector that we believe would present itself would be the glue, the parachain, which we have removed with our approach. And we have a significant focus on that because the kind of customers that we are already signed up and are building for are of a similar size to the airlines that I've just mentioned. So we have to have a different technical approach to mitigate the security concerns that we believe Polkadot may encounter in the future. Sorry, Alexander, you're back with us.
I'm not sure what I was disconnected. I'm not sure actually when I was
in a very particular way.
Sorry?
Your face got stuck in a very particular way.
Okay. No, that doesn't sound good. No, I was talking about this. I think it's very interesting to ask what I'm thinking about, what keeps me up, and I think this multi-chain versus cross-chain is very interesting, because if cross-chain is a reality, it's going to change a lot of the sort of physics, the forces of the whole area. And then, of course, another really important thing is zero knowledge, how that's going to evolve. We are at the we are basically where we can where we have VMs for zero knowledge, and we're very much aware of that. So at the bottom of sort of our base execution layer is not zero knowledge, but we want to integrate that. The reason why we're not going out the gate with that is that it will have to be supported by sort of extra computations that can't be done yet. But those are sort of the two things that I'm keeping a close eye on.
Okay. Oh, anything that you want to add on, Toby?
I would say that whilst a lot of the problems that the likes of Cosmos and Chainlink and Polkadot are ultimately trying to solve at a high level are very similar to ours, I think it's what differentiates us is our approach to the way in which we're solving the problems, and also the functionality and features that approach and who we believe our end user base is going to be, that then molds what we're building and thus who's going to use it. Does that make sense? And I think that's what differentiates us from our competitors. So where we have just a very strong focus on unifying the developer space, so that people can build in common languages on top of us that gets converted down by us, where we are doing a cross-chain tokenization platform where we have a retail user product with the e-wallet with a strong focus on licenses, regulatory licenses, fiat on-ramping and off-ramping from credit cards, SWIFT, SEPA, ACH network, and then ultimately parallel execution of smart contracts that can be executed in our layer that reads information in multiple underlying chains and can react to other smart contracts executed in those underlying chains. But all of these feature sets effectively and product approaches are because we have a very strong commercial outlook and very strong commercial experiences. You know, we built companies, we understand what end users want, what other companies want. You know, Alexander was responsible as being a senior developer for, you know, Google Hangouts, Google Plus, is the first developer to ever implement cryptology in the Linux kernel. He actually contributed to the Bitcoin blockchain core in the area of thread security. So it's about having this balance of having a commercial outlook as well as having the technical ability to be able to build and ship products used for millions of people. And we hope that's what gives that experience is what gives us we hope, an edge, as well as the benefit of hindsight, I would say, because we're the newbies coming along relatively in the market, that will position us well over the coming years against our competitors. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so my turn to ask some questions. It's quite how to say that is because we are not the techie guys. Okay, all like maybe my audience, maybe most of them are just like trying to looking for projects that has potential, so that when they want to buy, what else does the token function? Maybe is it can stake or involve in, like just now you say DeFi you mentioned before, any other functions that we as a normal investors trying to hold the token of Coinweb, any other function that we can do?
So on staking, it's something that we'll be looking at in the near future, and we're going to be making some announcements for. Other than which, I would say I have to be very delicate here because we have a utility token, so I have to be very careful and choose my words. Someone asked me this on our Telegram chat the other day, and I said one thing is speculating, and understanding that there's a real use for the token is something entirely different. Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett, looks at investing by way of simple math. You can see what our release schedule is for the tokens. You've heard me say that we expect to have a minimum of 1 million users on the platform by the end of this year. There will be buy pressure demand at the exchanges from 1 million people having to purchase X amount of tokens each to be able to use the platform. So now you can begin to work out what monthly demand looks like.
Okay.
And you can look at what our release schedule is. Anyone got a calculator?
Okay.
Yeah. So we can somehow now begin to move away from speculation, and we can begin to actually work out what velocity and liquidity looks like at that point in time. And then you can extrapolate that over the next, up to 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just
I want to add something regarding the roadmap and also the token. So currently the token is that's important to sort of understand, I think. Currently the token is an ERC20 token.
Yes.
It's issued on Ethereum. There will be a switch from that token to a native token on the Coinweb platform. When that switch happens, there's a lot of mechanisms in the Coinweb platform that requires that token. Before that switch happens, the use of the token is a bit different. So there's a moment where the use of the token switches from being an ERC standard token to this platform token where there's a lot of mechanisms, and there are mechanisms like there is an information market, which is sort of like an insurance system where when you move information between chains, somebody has to say that I promise by the $1,000
Okay.
I promise by the 1,000 CWeb that there is some information on this other chain that is X, and then after a while that gets resolved in the platform, and then that is released. There's also mechanisms related to ensuring whether a chain is stable, and where it should fit in the graph of chains, and where communication should be cheap and where it should be expensive between chains, and things related to that, where the token will need to be staked, basically based on some mechanism in the platform. But that is not the ERC token. That is when it is on mainnet, used on mainnet.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for the explanations. Okay, so we are almost at the end, but before that we have a 10 minutes Q&A sessions. Okay, so it's a very quick sessions. So that can you guys see the comment for the live chat?
No, Anton.
And then I just asked for them. So there's a guy called Tony. He asked, there's any time frame for the native platform to be switched? Is it any time frame to be estimated?
Yeah, let's say during this year.
Oh, during this year. Okay. You mean 2022? Yeah, okay. So is it any like quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4?
Towards the end.
Oh, sorry?
Towards the end.
Oh, towards the end. Okay.
We fully expect to come under attack when we launch fully on mainnet. And so that we have to mitigate as many of the security concerns as possible due to the value of the information we believe we will be handling in the not too distant future from now. So this is very, very important for us.
Okay. Let me see any other questions right there. Okay. Question from Palasa Kun asking that, can a DApp develop on web? Coinweb be switched between blockchains? Yes, of course.
Absolutely. They already have. That's the 2 DeFi platforms. They're the new projects that we will be building, albeit in the first instance in a permission state. So we really have a focus on very big customers with mass customer bases. That's how we're going to accelerate the user base. But when we open up on mainnet, there'll be a developer API. We also have incubation services depending on what the project is as well. So the answer is yes.
Okay. This question is asking about from Tony again. Toby, are we heading winter again? So I think he want to ask, should I buy Coinweb or invest in Coinweb at this point of time?
I can't give investment advice.
Yeah, sure. That's good. That's right.
All I will say is I think the token was at 6 cents. It's been hovering around 9 cents today. I think we've outperformed the market in the past couple of days. The entire market is down. I think considering where we are now to where we're going, do I expect for the token to rise as adoption grows? Absolutely.
Yeah.
It'll drive demand. We had a very big launch. I think we did in excess of $60 million worth of trade on day one. And I still think we did about $15 million of trade yesterday, which is really unheard of for an alt token. And this is before we start releasing news about who our partners are, our technology users, so on and so forth.
Okay. Next question from Steven is Ismail, or I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it possible to list on Binance or Bybit? Yeah, you can choose to ask or choose to answer or not. Yes.
Look, Binance is something that will take some time to do. We can't make any announcements about Bybit or Binance.
But any target time? Any like?
We know Bybit very well at all of them, very, very well. They're very good friends of ours. We already work with them in a particular area, but we can't make any announcements before the exchanges do or give any timetables. It would be a breach of any agreement that we may or may not have with them. Okay, cool. So the next question is from Shen Hong. From the project comparison document, we can see quite similar functionality between Coinweb and ICP and also Dfinity. How do you position yourself as competitor of them as they have quite big funding support? Yeah. Sure.
I can take it on that.
Yeah, sure.
Tech sides. I think the difference is that that is not ICP. Dfinity is not layer 2 in the sense that they're building a system where they are, let's call it full stack. Like they take care of every aspect of the platform, from consensus to availability, ingress, and connections and stuff like that. So they are also an sort of an isolated ecosystem, or they have their ecosystem like Solana and Ethereum and stuff like that. So I would say that's a difference. What we're trying to do with cross-chain is to make, just think about the capital that is captured in the information that is currently stored in the major blockchains. So you have a lot of capital in Bitcoin derived chains, then you have massive amounts of capital in the Ethereum chain, and then you're starting your own ecosystem, and then you're trying to attract basically capital and interest to build useful stuff. And then you have and then you basically see that everything is replicated everywhere. Like you take some project, you have an Ethereum project, and you have the Solana version of that project, because they are not the same ecosystem. So I think that is sort of, I think it's easy to see that the difference when you think in interoperability terms. Let's say that you don't need to have all these replicas of everything in different ecosystems. You have something where you build on one layer, and then you can move from layer 1 to layer 2. You can base yourself on different layer ones depending on your needs. So technically, we don't provide consensus. We don't provide availability. That is not our concern. That is layer 1. That is one very sort of simple technical way of saying it. Also.
Okay. Cool. Okay. You want to add on, Toby?
No. I think that far more flexibility, I would say. You're not, you can move existing projects on top of our platform. You can move them off our platform. You're not signing your life away in blood when you build on top of Coinweb. We're here to give flexibility to the furthest extent possible to projects to come on, and hopefully not off, but on top of the platform.
Okay, cool. Okay, I think the last questions here from Chun Hong again. From the introduction video, it says that Coinweb will support multiple programming language. When will we see it happening? Yeah.
The reason why we're saying that is because the VM that we're using is WebAssembly. WebAssembly is a very well supported VM that's supported in every web browser currently, and you can and there's very good compiler support for lots of languages to compile down to WebAssembly, and that is basically the reason. There is a little bit depending on what language you use. There are different costs because of the ecosystem around the languages are more or less tuned into blockchain development. So for example, most of the code that we're writing internally is using Rust, and a lot of other projects are also using that. And that is also a sort of a maybe a preferred language together with the Solidity that can also compile down to WebAssembly. But the reason why some of the languages work really well is that the cost of storing data on blockchains in general is very high. So you want a language that writes very succinct code, that is not bloated, and currently Rust is a really good choice for that. But you can use a lot of other languages as well.
Okay, it's cool. Thank you for the explanations. So we are going to approach the end right now. So thank you for Toby and also Alexander for having the time here. I know you guys are very busy, so I will let you guys off now. So I will end the session right here. And also we all thank you for them to having here. So make sure you have a comment saying thank you, anything, so that they can see it. Okay, so thank you. So very appreciate for your time. So I hope we can see you the next round. Okay, so
thank you so much.
Thank you again. Thank you, Toby. Thank you.
Thank you for the great question.
See you later.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Okay, bye.